This is Mongolia, a vast untouched country with some of the world's richest history, and of course, one of the world's most famous leaders, Genghis Khan. In this video, I will set off on a journey across this country to find his legendary hidden tomb. Along the way, I'll be encountering Mongolia's most famous landmarks, wildlife, and even deadly folklore. So with that being said, let's get started. Hey everyone, I know it has been a second. I might still look sickly because I am still getting over the flu that my little brother gave to me. And when I told my little brother that I gave it to me, his response was, wah wah. Anyways, I'm also wearing my Madrid Metro sweater that I got from the Madrid Metro store. They have the best store in that metro station. It's the best. Anyways, we are getting off track here. We're here to talk about our sponsor, which is, as you probably guessed, Name Hero. If you want to play Minecraft with your friends for an affordable price, then look no further than Name Hero. Name Hero makes Minecraft server hosting easy. Not only do they have one-click mod pack installation, but their server panel is also really easy to use. And as I always mention, I've used a lot of server hosts, I have used a lot of server panels, and those things can be super complicated. So having one with a good interface is very important to me. And their interface is not only clean, but it's easy to use. And let's say that you do get stuck somewhere along the way. Well, they have 24/7 customer support there to help you out. But beyond that, Name Hero is affordable, which is obviously one of the most important things. They also have server locations worldwide. Also, if you get a Name Hero server because of me, be sure to use the affiliate link in the description to get your server. That way, they know that you got your server because of this video. So with all that being said, thank you to Name Hero for sponsoring this video. I'll begin my journey here, near Mongolia's tallest mountain, Hoiten Peak. This is where I'll find a friend of mine who has information about Genghis Khan's hidden tomb. Alright, very lively area, I see. I knew I would want to secure some food first. Come here, come here. Look at the skill, the skill, the skill. Just no, get back. Come here, there we go. Alright, that was actually really successful. Okay. I have a feeling that's gonna get cold though. I don't really know how to deal with that. Ooh. What? That's a wolverine. Okay, I remember those guys. We have to stay away from them. That's when I saw this weird sheep. But since it had wool, I decided to kill it, as I want to craft some wool clothes for the cold weather ahead. I killed a few more of these strange sheep, before turning my attention to this tree to collect some wood. I then used this wood to craft a wooden pickaxe. Then I mined into the ground and collected some stone, which I used to craft stone tools, and a furnace. Now it was time for me to try and reach the mountain that my friend is at. So I'll follow this river path because it looks like that must be where oh, that's the peak right there. That's it. Okay. So that's what we're trying to get to. That's where my friend is, who has information about Genghis Khan's tomb location. I crafted wool boots and cooked some meat before setting off for the snowy stretch ahead. Yeah, I feel like it's gonna get really cold here. I'm gonna need more than just wool boots. As I made my way further into the snowy environment, I soon began to freeze. This was bad. Oh no, this might actually be really bad. Okay, okay. Can we maybe try like digging under? I don't know how this would help me, but we have to do something, right? Oh no, this is not good, this is not good. Okay, come on, come on, come on. As I burrowed further into the ground, I eventually managed to warm up. So I started to tunnel away from the mountains. Only, by the time I resurfaced, it was already night. Whoa, look at that. That is a really cool view. Look at that. Alright, I'm gonna go back under because it's gonna get cold again. It's gonna be really cold at night. Alright. On my second morning in Mongolia, I decided to head back towards the weird sheep so I can collect some more wool. I also smelted some sand into glass and crafted water bottles, which I used to heal back up. Okay. Now I could craft a campfire, but here's the thing. I would have to craft multiple to then like place them as I go. So maybe I'll do that actually. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. With my new plan in mind, I chopped some wood and crafted a few campfires. I then headed back for the mountain. This time, as I moved further up the glacier river, when I began freezing, I just placed a campfire. Only that's when I saw a strange structure nearby. I really wanted to get to it. But as I reached it, I started freezing again. So I ran back to my campfire, where I ended up staying for the night. But I did cook some venison. The next morning, I headed back for the strange structure. Okay, so I know what this is. This is a point of interest. I can activate it, and now I have the guidebook for Mongolia. With my guidebook in hand, I ran back to my campfire, where I could read about this landmark. This is Potanin Glacier. At over 2 million years old, this glacier is an ancient resident of the surrounding Altai mountains, sitting right on the border with China and Russia. This is the longest glacier in Mongolia, paving an icy path to the country's tallest peak. Now it was time for me to continue my trek up the glacier, so I placed campfires as I ran up this icy stretch. Soon enough, I decided to tower up, so I could take a look around. Okay, so it looks like the glacier river continues up. There's something yellow right there. That's interesting. Okay, let's get down before I start freezing again. I wanted to reach whatever the yellow structure was ahead, so I made a run for it, while closely following the river. Finally, a tent came into view. A tent with a lot of wool. As I entered it, a storm started up. So I slept here in this sleeping bag. On the morning of day 4, I collected the bag and a few other things from around the tent. I then stripped the tent of its wool, which I used to finally craft a full set of wool clothing. Okay. This should do it. Look at me. I am all ready for the Mongolian mountains. Now I could properly head towards this mountain, so I did just that. And by around noon, I had reached the end of the glacier river. I carried on, further into the remote snowy wilderness of western Mongolia, now completely surrounded by snow and rock. I just don't see anything, like at all. No signs of life. Oh, wait a minute. Of course, right as I say that. Is this a summit camp? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Okay. Huge. Soon enough, I had spotted the very friend that I've been looking for.
Hey again, Smitty. Thanks for making the trip over. I knew you'd want to have a look at this. See, Charlotte decided to sign me up for a spontaneous week in Mongolia. Something about me needing to appreciate nature more. I hate snow. Anyways, as we were summiting this mountain, I spotted a cavern with an ancient stone door. Inside there was this little statue. I was about to kick it over when the American in the tent next door stopped me. He said it looked like it was a 13th century ball statue, whatever that is. He thinks it belongs to this legendary general who might have been the only person to witness Genghis Khan's burial and live. So there's a good chance that if there is a clue about the location of his burial, it would be in the statue. All you have to do to reach the cave is follow the summit path and keep an eye out on the right. Best of luck, Smitty. And it's good to see you.
It is good to see you as well, Hudson. Only Hudson wasn't the only one who wanted to talk to me.
Hey there, friend. I was the one who stopped that crazy Australian from breaking the statue.
Your voice is crazy.
Anyways, I know my history and artifacts. And I also know the dangers that lie out there in the dark wilderness. I've heard about you and the creatures you've hunted. So maybe give me a call sometime. I have a job for you.
Yeah, you know what? Sure, I will happily give you a call. That voice is crazy. That was like the deepest voice I've ever heard. All right. I started up the summit path, on the lookout for this cave, but this definitely wasn't an easy path to follow. If I fall into powdered snow one more time, I'm gonna lose it. Okay, all right. This is not funny. This is not funny. Okay, can we just... Alright. Looks like this goes up really high. Okay. Alright, well... No. Okay. After camping on the mountainside for the night, I woke the next morning to an amazing view. Then, as I continued along the summit path, I spotted some dripstone in the distance. Is this a cavern? Yes. This is the one. Okay. Anyways. Ooh, that's kind of scary. Alright. As I investigated the ball statue, I decided to try and open it. Only, it was empty.
It's gone. Some man paid me to pass along a message to you.
Oh.
If you want whatever was in that statue, he'll need to help you with something. Go. Meet him at Igbogd. It's a large mountain deep within the Gobi. If I were you, I would follow the glacier river east, and once you're surrounded by sand, go south, and don't stop until you see the giant desert mountain. And traveler, this part comes from me personally.
Okay.
I know what it is you seek, but you won't find it. And if you continue this journey, there will be enemies trying to stop you. Both natural and unnatural enemies. Farewell, traveler.
I now descended the snowy mountain, knowing that the person who took whatever is in that statue is now waiting for me at a large desert mountain in the Gobi. I slowly made my way back through the remote valley, no longer able to sprint due to dehydration. However, I reached the glacier river again that evening. Look. It's a snow leopard, and it is sleeping. That is really cute. That is cute. I would take it as my companion, but we're about to go to the Gobi Desert, which is gonna be way too hot for this guy. So, it's gonna be way too hot for me. I continued along the Glacier River, following the Eagle Hunter's instructions. It wasn't long before I reached the taiga area again, so I continued down the river, making my way into the foothills of the Altai Mountains. Only that evening, I saw something standing on a nearby cliff edge. What is that? That's not a deer. Alright. Yeah, don't love that, actually. Not the biggest fan of ominous figures staring at me from afar. I don't know. Unpopular opinion, I know, but still my opinion. It continued to stand there as I rode away. By the next morning, I was rowing through a much drier area. Okay, I feel like this area is pretty deserty, right? Yeah, this is definitely a very sandy area. It is time for me to start heading east, that's for sure. Yeah, there are more mountains in that direction, but we're gonna head east now. Oh, I'm overheating. That is my fault for wearing wool clothes in a deserty area. I now continued east along this river path, heading for some more large mountains in the distance. Only I soon saw some structures, and not just any structures. Oh, is this what I think it is? Yes, we have yurts. Yes. Okay, this is going to make my base building much easier then. Because I want to do a yurt anyways, but now I don't have to, like, collect the materials. I don't think, right? I can just collect one of these, I think. Can I... Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Well, at least it's decorated really nice. I'm gonna feel bad just, like, taking some random person's yurt decorations. I love the garland. I really do. You know what? I kind of like the red theme as well. Perfect. Okay. Now, wait a second. These aren't just any horses. These are Przewalski's horses. Alright, now that is pretty cool. That is pretty cool. That's right. The horses in front of me weren't just any horses. They were Mongolia's national animal. This is Przewalski's horse, a stocky, smaller horse that used to live freely along the Mongolian steppe, named for the Russian geographer Nikolai Przewalski. Only these iconic horses haven't been seen in the wild since 1968. That's due to overhunting and the loss of its natural habitat to cattle and farms. This has led Przewalski's horse to become an endangered species. But there is hope on the horizon for these Mongolian wild horses, as their population is increasing, thanks in part to the patches of protected areas across Mongolia where they reside. And it is important to note that while I definitely will be trying to tame one for this journey, Przewalski's horse is actually considered to be mostly untamable, as they're the world's true last remaining wild horse. Right as I began to look for a saddle, I started overheating. So I ran down to the river in order to cool off. This is when I decided that I wanted to wait for nightfall before continuing my search. Okay, now this is my kind of tent. In fact, I'm absolutely... You know what? I might keep it as is. Like, yeah, I want to add to it and make it my own, but like, this is a really good start for a yurt. Wow, okay. I feel like that's a little bit unfair, so yeah, I will definitely personalize it, but this is really good. Okay. Sure enough, there was a saddle in this chest. Only now, I had to tame the untamable horse. Now, which horse is gonna be my friend? You. You want to be my friend. Yes, you do. Friend? Come on, friend. You love me. Oh, come on, please. I only have 4 more wheat. Please, please. Yes, okay. I don't know what I would have done without any more wheat. Okay. On the morning of day 8, I knew that there was one more thing I needed to craft in order to collect a yurt. I need the tent mallet in order to collect any of the tents. So, where did my horse go? Oh, okay. Alright. But before I start mining for iron, there's something else that I need to deal with. And I'm overheating. Okay, this is gonna be annoying. That's gonna be really annoying. I decided that in order to escape the heat, I'd take my horse further up into the valley. Only this turned out to be a very bad idea. No, this isn't working. Okay, we gotta get to the water. That's not gonna work. Come on. Nope, I didn't even mean to do that, or that. Okay. Okay. Alright. Not preferable, actually. I know exactly what I have to do now. And I have to be so fast. Let's go. I then rode the horse down to the river, and was able to heal back up. From here, we traveled high into the mountains, where I could finally mine in peace. I mined for a good bit of the day, and soon enough, I found a vein of iron with 5 pieces. So Josephine and I made our way back down the mountain. I then smelted this iron and took some wool from the big yurt, before finally crafting the mallet and collecting my new yurt. The next morning, before setting off, I crafted some shears and collected leaves. I use this to craft leaf armor, which will help protect me from the heat. Anyways, after cooking some more meat, I finally continued my journey, and the two of us made our way through Mongolia's Sambagarav-Ul National Park. However, that afternoon, I saw the looming figure on the mountainside again. We continued along the river as it led us up a glacier. And that evening, I stopped to look at the incredible scenery around me. The next morning, we trekked alongside this waterfall, now heading further east across Mongolia. After all, the eagle hunter said that I would find this person who took the clue at some desert mountain deep within the Gobi, so I can only assume that I'll be reaching the desert soon. And sure enough, as we continued through this dry, rocky area, I was soon introduced to the Gobi Desert. This is the mighty Gobi Desert, the largest desert within all of Asia. This vast rocky landscape is shared between Mongolia and China, with the word Gobi coming from the Mongolian word for waterless place. Humans have lived within this desert for thousands of years, and in the 13th century, it was used as a strategic natural barrier by the Mongol Empire, under the leadership of Genghis Khan. But the Gobi Desert has hosted life for much longer, as this desert is home to an extensive amount of prehistoric fossils, making this vast rocky stretch a truly timeless piece of history. On the morning of day 11, Josephine and I stood at the edge of a large salty lake. So I got my boat out and led her across it with me. Soon enough, we were back in the sandy desert, and I could see the mountains fading in the distance behind us. By the evening, we were among some large towering sand dunes, so I kept an eye out for this desert mountain. This is a camel? Got some shrubs, and there is a snake. Okay. Interesting. Hello, camel. Okay. Alright, let's get on top of this dune and look around. Oh, there's a camel up there. Alright. I climbed up this tall sand dune, only to see more desert around us. Wow. Okay, yeah, it really is just desert everywhere. He said head east, so we'll just keep heading east. Okay, that jump scared me so bad. Oh my gosh. How dare you hurt Josephine? That's very mean. For the rest of the day, we simply continued east across the Gobi. On the morning of day 13, I spotted an odd desert structure ahead. It's like a little campsite or something. Huh. Interesting. I know what that is. I know what that is. Okay, I'm not messing with that. I know exactly what that is. We quickly rode away from the worm, as I did not want to go anywhere near it. From here, we continued east, now knowing that I was not alone in this vast desert. I will say, what's interesting about Genghis Khan is that he's sort of like... He's very similar to Vlad the Impaler, who we discussed in the Transylvania episode. Because he's a pretty controversial historical figure, right? But Mongolia celebrates him as, you know, their big historical figure. I mean, I get it. He had an empire that I think at one point spanned 17% of the Earth's land area. That is insane. Especially for the 13th century, that's crazy. Actually crazy. But at the same time, he is credited for, I think it's around 40 million deaths, which is a number that I can't even fathom. Like, no one can really fathom 40 million when it comes to something like that. Absolutely insane. But I mean, he really did change the course of history. He really did. Don't you dare spit at me. I'm gonna be very upset if you spit at me. But yeah, I mean, that's the whole thing with this tomb. I think it was 2,000 people who died because they witnessed his burial, and it had to stay a secret. It did. So even to this day, the location of his tomb is unknown, and that's what we are out finding right now. Now it is true that 800 years ago, Genghis Khan's burial took place somewhere within his homeland. And it's rumored that everyone who attended his burial was killed in order to keep the location a secret. To this day, the location of his tomb remains a mystery, but perhaps the clue within the Balbal statue will help us make history. The next day was fairly uneventful, as the dry Gobi kept getting drier, and there was no legendary desert mountain in sight. Josephine and I continued further across the rocky dunes for the next few days, slowly making our way southeast into Mongolia's Gobi Altai province. On day 19, we found ourselves at some tall, rocky cliffs. As I rode my way up and over these cliffs, I thought about how remote this location was in comparison to the other places I've been. I know I've said this a few times in my videos, but this time, I genuinely mean it. This might be the most remote place I've been to. Because Mongolia has the lowest population density of any country in the world. So yeah, that means that I'm really just out in the middle of nowhere. And what's worse is that I don't see a desert mountain. By this evening, I was riding alongside a large mountain, and then I saw a point of interest. Something tells me that this is the mountain. Alright, come on, Josephine. There we go. This is the one. This is the exact mountain. Alright. Let's read up on it. Ikbogd. Ikbogd is the tallest mountain within the Gobi Altai range, sitting at almost 4,000 meters, or 13,000 feet, above sea level. This untouched remote mountain is considered sacred, standing as a monumental landmark within the vast Gobi Desert. Alright, well, we've reached it, so now we just have to find the person who made me come all the way out here for this first clue. I guess we'll do that in the morning. I now began my search for the person holding the clue. I decided to take Josephine around the perimeter of the mountain, hoping to spot some sort of campsite or something. As we slowly made our way around it, I had to carefully navigate her around the steep rocky desert cliffs. Ooh, okay. But then we saw quite the view. However, it wasn't long before I spotted smoke in the distance. So I approached it and attached Josephine to this post before climbing up towards the smoke.
Hello there. No need to introduce yourself.
Oh.
I know who you are.
Uh-huh.
But allow me to introduce myself. Most people call me Professor Green, but you can call me Connor. I work at a museum nearby as a paleontologist. Now then, I know you're looking for the legendary tomb of Genghis Khan, and I promise you that what I found within that statue will help lead you there. It's fascinating, really. But I need your help first in exchange for the clue.
I figured.
You see, I may be a paleontologist, but I'm also a naturalist. I've been tasked with checking on the incredibly elusive Gobi bear, the rarest bear in the world. However, I'm not equipped to find it, due to the creature beneath the sand.
Oh.
Yes, I'm sure you've heard of it. The Mongolian deathworm. For centuries, native Mongolian travelers, and even former prime ministers of the country, have sworn by the existence of the deathworm, or the Olgoi Korkoi, a venomous red subterranean worm that has been reported to be as long as 7 feet. This deadly creature houses sharp teeth and can apparently spit venom from afar. It lies dormant under the sands of the Gobi, awaiting its next victim. So, that's why I don't want to go looking for this bear. But you can. After all, you're used to this sort of thing. Now, I was told that a fragmented population of the Gobi bear was last spotted just south of here, past some very tall sand dunes. Once you've found the bear, place this tracker that I have in my chest nearby. This will help us monitor the population. Then come find me in my museum office. It's in the desert city called Dalanzadgad. Just head east and you'll spot it. All right now, I'll see you there.
All right, yeah. I mean, honestly, that works for me. I can go and find this bear for you. I also get you not wanting to deal with the death worm. Totally get that. Very reasonable. Actually, I don't want any of this. I just want this. I think that is a fair exchange, and I don't really mind. Because it also gives me a chance to go and see the world's rarest bear, which is pretty cool. With that, I set off to find the Gobi bear for Connor, in exchange for the clue to Genghis Khan's tomb. So, Josephine and I headed south, into the tall sandy dunes of southern Mongolia. As Josephine and I rode further into the remote Gobi Desert, we slowly made our way between some rocky mountains. And that's when I spotted something on top of a dune in the distance. It almost looks as though there is something on top of that dune. Yeah, that's not natural, is it? So we made our way towards it, and reached it right as the sun set. Alright, where are we now? Okay, let's read up on it. Alright. Also called the Singing Sands, this natural wonder is known for its massive dunes that reach up to 300 meters high, around 1,000 feet. A singing noise can be heard when the wind hits the sand. That's crazy. 300 meters. That is like the normal Minecraft build limit. Or height limit, rather. That is... that's insanely tall. Alright. I did not much care for that noise, actually. Okay. Alright, yeah, we're just gonna... we're gonna camp here. The next morning, I decided to check out this grassy area at the base of the dune. After taking a look around, we then continued our search for the Gobi bear. That is, until something emerged from the ground ahead of us. Yeah, this was bad. This meant that the worm had to be following us. So we rode away fast, without looking back. Luckily, that same evening, I saw water in the distance. And in my experience, where there's water, there's life. Alright, Josephine. $5 says that there's a bear over here somewhere. I don't know what you're gonna do with $5, but... oh. No way. Is that it right there? Oh, that's totally it. That is totally it. Hello? Are you going to try and hurt me? After getting an achievement for finding the Gobi bear, I placed down the GPS tracker from Connor. I then spent some time with the bears, before heading east for the desert city to find the professor. However, that's when a sandstorm started up. This worried me, as I couldn't see very far ahead, meaning that the death worm would have a good opportunity to attack. Thankfully, that didn't happen, allowing for Josephine and I to continue further across the Gobi. We continued our desert travels for the next 2 days, heading east towards the desert city of Dalanzadgad. So, as we make our way further across Mongolia, let's discuss the bear that we just found. The Gobi bear is the rarest bear in the world, and it calls the remote desert landscape of southwestern Mongolia its home. More specifically, populations of these bears are only really known to be found within the Great Gobi Strictly Protected Area, or the GGSPA. This area was established in 1976 in order to protect its unique wildlife. However, despite these protections, the Gobi bear is in grave danger. In fact, it may just be one of the most endangered animals we've ever covered. There are less than 40 Gobi bears in the wild, making them a critically endangered species. Now, this is for a few reasons, such as the remoteness of their habitat and growing scarcity of food in the area. But the GGSPA is also targeted by illegal hunting and mining. Thankfully, there are efforts working to protect this bear, such as the Gobi Bear Project, a non-profit organization that has been protecting this species since 2005. The first link in the description will be to their donation page. By day 27, we had reached a large green valley, with a pond and river that led right into it. So I decided to let Josephine have a break from walking. I brought her along through the water as I looked at the towering mountains around us. I then ended up rowing along this river for most of the day. But by the evening, I was a bit confused, as there was now snow around us. Alright, Josephine, I tried to give you a break, but nature did not allow that, so come along. Ooh, yeah, we got some snowy terrain to go through. Now, in reality, the Gobi is actually pretty high up in altitude across the desert. So it is a desert of extremes when it comes to temperatures. It can be really hot, and it can be really cold. As the night set in, I began to freeze, so I put on my wool clothing and then set up a campsite where I cooked my venison. Oh, look at that. Point of interest. Okay. Okay. Ice field, yeah. No kidding. The Yolanam Ice Field. This icy gorge sits as a sharp contrast to the desert landscape around it, allowing visitors to experience meters of glacial ice in the winter. The name is often translated to Valley of the Vultures. The two of us continued through the ice field, and soon enough, we were back in the desert. By now, we had to be nearing the city, and as the dust cleared the next morning, I could see something in the distance. This was definitely Dalanzadgad. I was beyond ready to see this first clue, so Josephine and I made one last push through the desert towards the city. Alright, Connor, I'm gonna get my clue. It's been long enough. Come on. Almost there. Almost there. Why does this city look strange? Only that's when I realized something. The city in front of me was a mirage. What? 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 It's not real! What? Josephine! Oh my gosh. It was clear that the desert was getting to me. Luckily, I could see a gate in the distance. A gate that I really hoped was real. So, Josephine and I made another push. And soon enough, we reached a very real road. So with that, we charged for the gate. And sure enough, we had reached the city. This is Dalanzadgad, the capital of Mongolia's southern province, Omnogovi Aimag. This remote city is rapidly developing, highlighting some of Mongolia's rich culture in one of the country's most arid regions. Here within the city, you can find the famous gateway to the Gobi, that also serves as a grand entrance. But of course, one of its main attractions is the impressive Gobi Museum, that displays some of the incredible prehistoric fossils found within the area. In short, Dalanzadgad may not be the country's most visited city, but it sure does have a lot to offer, here among the dunes of the Gobi. I let Josephine rest for a bit, before heading into the city to find this museum. I'm guessing that the museum is the big building over there, so follow these roads to reach it. Hello. Chicken. This is a cute bus stop. What if I actually waited here and a bus pulled up? That would not get me closer to finding Genghis Khan, so I'm not going to do that, actually.
What brings you to Dalanzadgad? Not many foreigners make their way out here.
Hi.
Well, you know, it doesn't matter because I am so happy to see my city finally getting some tourists. Now, please, I was just cooking something that I would love for you to try.
Dude, I'll be honest, you scared me. And I'm on the way to museum, but fine, alright.
This dish is called booze.
Uh-huh.
It's a steamed dumpling that is very special to Mongolia. Actually, you can make one if you want. Here, just take some of this mutton and some of this dough.
Okay. Sure.
Just like that. Now, all you have to do is cook it.
Okay, I followed the instructions there. Oh, hi.
Aha! You did it. Not bad for your first attempt. Now, I'll let you get back to what you were doing. But my name is Batar, and I hope you have a nice stay here in the Gobi.
Thank you, Batar. Alright. So, yeah, for anyone interested, I guess this is the crafting recipe for booze. Booze? Booze. Yes. After befriending a local, I then headed towards the giant museum building in the distance. As I tried to read the road sign that was blocking the parking lot, I began to overheat. So I rushed over to this tree and collected leaves. Before then crafting more leaf clothing. Then I headed back to the museum. So I'm just going to assume that this says that the museum is closed. But that's clearly not the case, because Connor said that he was going to be here, and I'm getting that clue. So, yeah, these doors are closed. No, they're not. This museum was huge, so naturally, I want to take a look around first. Wow. Okay. Priceless artifacts. Fine, I'll put it back. I didn't do it. I then went to try and find Connor's office.
Hey there, great work.
Oh.
You have no idea what you've done for the Gobi bear. Now then, let's talk business. You want the clue that was in the statue?
Yes.
I'll do you one better. I'll let you have a chance of getting the next clue.
Okay.
See, inside the statue I found a little piece of paper. This paper had a drawing of some cliffs and a marker that sat right in between them. Luckily for you, I'm very familiar with these cliffs. They're called the Flaming Cliffs, and they're one of the most famous fossil sites in the world. So, of course, I have control of a dig site there. A dig site that is currently digging exactly where the drawing told me to. So, here's the deal. I'll let you have an afternoon to dig around yourself and try to find whatever this next piece of the puzzle is. My men know you're coming, so they'll let you in. The cliffs are just north of here, past some dunes. I do hope you find what you're looking for, because the tomb has been hidden for long enough. The museum is under attack. Quickly, take the door behind you. It will lead you out of here.
Okay.
I have a way out as well. I'll be fine.
Oh.
Now go, quickly.
Okay. They're really doing some damage. Okay, alright. Okay. That is a lot of damage being done. And fire. Oh.
I told you not to continue your search for the tomb. It is meant to stay hidden. And now, you'll face the consequences.
I rushed out of the museum. And then found myself in the now dark streets of Dalanzadgad. As I headed back to Josephine, I ended up getting spat on by this camel. Anyways, after reuniting with my horse, we headed north for the fossil dig site at the Flaming Cliffs. By the next morning, I could see the cliffs clearly, but I then realized that I had let my guard down. Oh, okay, it was closer that time. Alright. I might need some armor. Yeah, I'm not gonna risk that. Yeah, I want to get some armor as soon as I can. We rode towards the cliffs, while I kept an eye on the dunes around us. Regardless, that very evening, we arrived. Millions of years ago, during the late Cretaceous period, the Gobi Desert looked fairly different. Prehistoric vegetation lined seasonal riverways and streams that ran along the sandy dunes, meaning that this ancient landscape once housed some impressive life, like this Protoceratops, a small four-legged herbivore that lived here in prehistoric Mongolia. However, these dinos weren't the only ones living in the area. In fact, they were often hunted by a much faster and much more famous dinosaur, the Velociraptor. It didn't take long for this deadly carnivore to spot the much slower Protoceratops, and within seconds, the hunt was complete. Only this time, the usual hunt was interrupted, causing the two dinos to be buried among the sands of the Gobi. Over the course of millions of years, sandstorms among the arid environment helped preserve the two dinos exactly how they were, leading to one of the most famous fossils ever discovered: the fighting dinosaurs. This is only one of the many fossils that you can find here among the Flaming Cliffs, perhaps one of the world's most famous fossil dig sites. These fiery red cliffs also yielded the first ever dinosaur eggs, discovered in 1923. Today, the Flaming Cliffs and the Gobi Desert around them sit as one of the world's most productive fossil dig sites, giving tourists a glimpse of a once flourishing prehistoric landscape that is now lost to time. It was now time for me to find this dig site. Yep, I think that's it. Okay. There's a crane over there. They really got to digging, okay. As I approached the site, I found a worker to follow. Where are you going, sir? Don't mind me, just following in your footsteps. Excuse me, okay, it's crowded here apparently. I'm gonna jump this. Whoa, okay. So, I guess that's where I'm gonna be digging. Where'd he go? He's going towards the tent. Oh, I'm out of water! Ah, that's really bad timing. Does anyone around here have water? Yeah, I am severely dehydrated. Do you have water, sir?
Wait.
No. Do you have water? Oh, okay. So you're the legendary Smitty King, huh? Your suit looks cheaper than I thought it would. Okay. Okay. I don't know why we're taking shots all of a sudden. Yeah, thanks. I'll let you have a turn in the dig site, but your time is limited. If you find us any fossils, maybe I'll give you some extra time. You know what? Sure, that is fair. Fine, whatever. Oh, and you might find some extra TNT that some of our workers left. Feel free to use it, I guess. Now, let's get this over with. Alright, don't know where that attitude is coming from, Mr. Dig Site Manager, but yeah, let's do it. Let's try it. Oh, Am I gonna use... Oh, I'm using a different pickaxe. Okay. Oh, well. Oh? These are my tools. Okay. Oh, the time is going down. Okay, okay. I clearly need some more inventory space, so we're just gonna knock that out of here. We're gonna knock that out of here. Ooh, what's this? Oh, that's TNT. Oh, no, no, no. Get away, get away, get away. Okay. That didn't really do much, I don't think. I don't even really know what I'm looking for. Is this it? Oh, no, they give me speed. Okay. Alright, we need the speed. We need the speed. I'm looking for some kind of ancient clue. That's my lead. That's all I got. Come on. Oh, fossil. Got extra 10 seconds. That's actually really good. Come on. Oh, I need more fossils. Come on. No, 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 no. I'm gonna have to do this again. Oh, no. No. Okay, okay. Alright. I knew that this might take a few tries. So I decided to set up my yurt. I've always realized with this mod that it resets my hunger and thirst bar. But then when I leave the yurt, it's back to the way it was. So it kind of teases me, is what it does. Which I don't appreciate. I then made a few improvements this evening. The next morning, I headed back out and went to try and find this clue again. Yeah, this was gonna be difficult, but at least I was making progress. Regardless, I had something else to worry about. I was becoming dangerously dehydrated. So I hopped on my horse and we rode out into the Gobi in search of a river. Finally, right as the sun set, I found one. And yeah, I drank lots of water. I made it back to the dig site by the early afternoon of day 35. Just in time for another attempt. Once again, I hadn't found it. So I headed back to my yurt for the night. The next morning, I woke up ready to win. But I lost. That's crazy. I have to be close. I have to be close. Right? Alright. Tomorrow I'm going to try that area. That area. It's gotta be here somewhere, right? I don't know. I really don't know. I'm starting to doubt if it's even real. I don't know where you're going, Josephine. Okay. So I spent the rest of the day doing some base work. By day 37, I knew my time was running out. So I headed back to the tent, determined to find this clue. And finally, I did. This is it! This is totally it! This is totally it! What is that? That's a temple with a red dot. Okay. That's what that is. Oh! Okay. I did it! Alright. Okay then. Let's make...
Hey again, my friend. It's Batar. I work shifts here at the dig site. Wait, what is that in your hand? It looks like a sketch of the main temple of Karakorum, the old capital city of the Mongol Empire. If that's where you need to be, then just follow the nearby river north into the mountains. Then, once you pass a waterfall, it'll be to the east. Safe travels, friend.
Alright. Thank you, Batar. Okay. Well, first, before I follow your instructions, I just want to point out that it has a red spot in the top left of the temple. So, obviously, that's where I'm meant to go. Alright, Batar. I'm out of here. Goodbye. You can keep your little clue. Actually, should I let them have the clue? You know, I'm a nice person. Yes, I'm gonna let them have the clue. With that, Josephine and I headed back to the river, right as a sandstorm started up. The next day, we followed the river north, heading for the ancient city that Batar had mentioned. Already on this journey, we've passed through the icy Potanin Glacier, then we rode along the arid Hovsgol mountain, before navigating the busy streets of Dalanzadgad. And now, the two of us must ride north, to the ancient capital of Mongolia, Karakorum. However, the next day, as I brought Josephine along this river, I spotted another set of desert ruins. What do we have here? Just ruins. Is there anything inside this this main tower? Ooh, a chest. Oh wow, okay. Death worm egg. Okay. Got lots of wheat. Alright. Green tea leaf. Some arrows. Don't want that. Death worm tongue. Yeah, we're gonna mess around with that. Crusty bread. Ooh, that's pretty cool. Okay. Let's put that there. Alright. I can only assume that this is like a... you know, honestly, forget what I just said. Forget what I just said. We have more important things to attend to. Suddenly, the death worm was out of sight, which was very concerning to me. So I continued up along the river, now cautious of my new surroundings. The two of us continued north for the next few days. And it wasn't long before we finally left the Gobi. By day 45, we were entering central Mongolia. The landscape around us was much greener, with plenty of trees and new wildlife. As we rode further along the same river, I came across some remains. I collected this leather and realized that I could craft a leather canteen. Only, when I went to craft one, I saw that I needed one more piece of leather. So I went hunting. Come here. I am so friendly. You don't even know. You don't even know. I'm so friendly. The friendliest, actually. Wanna play Uno? I'm that friendly. Actually, I'm more of a blackjack guy, but still. Come here. So friendly. No, 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 no. Okay, get over here, get over here. Yes, we have the leather. Okay. I then crafted the canteen and continued through the central mountains. The next morning, I spotted a yurt. It was entirely empty inside, though. So we just kept following the river. And that's when I came to a waterfall that had a point of interest. Alright, let's see what it says. Orhan Falls. These serene falls filter out into the nearby Orhan River, the longest and most important river in Mongolia. This makes Orhan Falls a scenic entrance to Mongolia's lush Orhan River Valley. I mean, yeah, they are pretty cool, I will say. Alright. Just for fun, we have to do this. Come along now. Ooh, there are rocks down there. I didn't even see that. Oh no. Come on, come on. Very carefully. It's okay. Come on. Oh no. The lead is somewhere. I don't even know where the lead would be. The lead is gone. The lead is gone, essentially. Alright, I'm going to just go along the shore here. Okay. After following along the volcanic walls, we came to a crossroads. Okay, now, Batar did say to go right here, I believe. Or I guess east, right? With that, we headed east. As the two of us continued our journey along the river, I ended up spotting something ahead. What is this? There's a little yurt and stable, but the yurt has been kind of destroyed. Alright. What's going on here? Oh. Okay. Yeah, it would seem as though, every single sheep here is dead. That is just a bit concerning, isn't it? What happened here? It's just odd. It's really odd. With that ominous display, we followed the river east. Only that same evening, I saw a new temple. What is this? Yeah, I don't know. Oh, they're prayer flags. Very nice. Oh, wait. Oh! 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 Okay! Oh! Go! 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 Okay, okay, okay. Alright, alright, just run, just go, just go, just go. It's making monkey noises at me. I don't like the violent monkey noises. That's very scary. That's very scary. We headed straight for the water. Only now, I couldn't find my lead. So I swam back to Josephine and we rode away from the creature. The next morning, we simply rode alongside the river all day. Nothing interesting happened. Although I did spot the creature again by the river that evening. Only, I did not know that a thunderstorm would soon be arriving. It was very stormy out here in the Mongolian wilderness, but I knew that I had to be nearing the ancient capital, yet I could not see anything on the horizon. However, the next morning, I finally saw a structure in the distance. We approached this large wall, and then followed alongside it, until I eventually found the entrance. This is Karakorum, the ancient capital of the Mongol Empire. This city acted as Genghis Khan's headquarters when he went to invade China in the 13th century. However, it's thought that Karakorum may have first been established back in the year 750. Regardless, these ruins have seen the passage of time like no other, as Genghis Khan's son was the one to build walls around it. However, in 1388, after an invasion by the Chinese, Karakorum was destroyed. Only after being partially rebuilt a century later, a Buddhist monastery was constructed here, making it the earliest of its kind within Mongolia's vast history. Finally, we arrive at the modern era, where the ruins were stumbled upon and explored by the Soviets. So yeah, Karakorum is unique to say the least, and its long history makes it a must-see destination within central Mongolia. Oh, there is a horse here. That's a bit odd. Well, free lead for me, right? Okay. This is now your post. Alright, you two get along. Interesting, okay. Couple of different buildings here, but that is the one that was... Well, I guess it could be any of these three. Pretty sure that was the one on the stone carving. Yeah, I recognize that one from the carving because there's the red dot there, which means that whatever I'm looking for is going to be right up there.
You know, I really am surprised by your lack of haste. I would have thought the great legendary Smitty would be faster than this.
Okay.
Doesn't matter. I found what I needed because I instructed my men to look carefully at whatever it was that you dug up in my sight. And here we are, at a dead end.
Oh.
Yeah, you see, this ancient note that was tucked away up here is written in a language that's almost entirely extinct. The Duka language is only spoken by a few dozen people, and those people are likely among the nomadic reindeer herding groups who live in the north. It will be like finding a needle in a haystack.
Oh.
If you're really curious, just follow the rivers northwest. You'll find the valley that they are said to live in. But like I said, it's an impossible search, and I've got a Gobi bear to attend to anyways, so good luck to you.
Now with a new heading, Josephine and I set off, following the riverways northwest. The professor is clearly a bit competitive with me, isn't he? Well, as he said, he doesn't want to give the effort to find this next clue, so... all mine. Plus, I don't really know if I trust anyone else with, uncovering Genghis Khan's tomb. Since it is like a legendary artifact that, a lot of people died to protect in terms of its location. I mean, should we even find the tomb at all? I don't know. I don't know, but that's what I'm doing. So, too late now. Over the next few days, we made our way through the scenic Orhan River Valley, a UNESCO World Heritage landscape that houses Mongolia's longest river, alongside many ancient tombs and green pastures. As we continued along the northwestern river valleys on day 56, I spotted some large buildings in the distance. As I made my way closer, I noticed many ruins, and among them were wolves. Alright, let's stay back from the wolves. Let's go around. Okay. There's another one right there. I know what that is. That's an old fighter jet. Okay. The wolves are coming. Alright. We go. And that is old Soviet architecture. I think we have come across an old abandoned Soviet base. An air base, to be specific. Yeah, so during the 60s and 70s, the Soviet Union built some air bases in Mongolia. Now, like, they didn't really... Oh, that's a Wolverine? Okay. I'm in the middle of my historical exposition. Anyways. Okay. That's not fair. Okay. Anyways. So they didn't really have control. They didn't own Mongolia. Mongolia was an independent nation at the time. But it was also a satellite state, which meant that they did kind of control them. It's complicated. But on paper, Mongolia was independent. But in reality, not really. Anyways, the Soviet Union built a lot of air bases to kind of compete with China's air bases. And then in 1990, they were all abandoned. So, this is one of them. Creepy but cool, to be honest with you. Creepy but cool. As the sun set on the abandoned Soviet airbase, I noticed that, oddly, a light was on inside one of the abandoned buildings. The next morning, the two of us left the airbase and continued through the large Rocky Mountains just to the west. And that evening, as the sun set, I saw a pretty great view. By day 58, we were making our way further towards northern Mongolia. And by the evening, I was giving Josephine a break by letting her glide in the river. And that's when I spotted a point of interest. The Turkin-Sagan Lake. This freshwater lake is believed to have been formed by the nearby volcano. However, local legend believes it was created by an elderly couple who forgot to put the cap on a well after retrieving water, thus flooding the valley. From here, we continued further into the lake, and as the sun set, I saw some objects ahead. Objects that ended up being yurts. Oh. It is very busy, clearly. Okay. Hello, everybody. I made my way through the lively gathering, before getting jumped by an old friend.
No way! It's you again.
Oh.
So good to see you, my friend. Wait, what is that note you have? I've seen this language before.
Have you?
Yes, I recognize it. There are some people who can speak it, but not many. They live just north of here in a big valley, but they're tucked away at the very top of the valley.
Okay.
Speaking of, I've noticed something.
What's that?
That figure has been following you.
Oh! Oh!
I don't know what it is you're looking for, but I do know what that creature is. It's the Almas. For as long as 500 years, stories have been told of a large wild man that lives in the mountains of this country. I know you might think to compare him to your Bigfoot, but trust me, this one is far more ancient and far more intelligent. The Almas has been written about, drawn, and even hunted for centuries, and it is far more documented than any other wild man in the world. As you can see, it's much more than legend. So, I warn you, be careful. It's clear that it is protecting something, and I'm sure it will go to great lengths to do so. But for now, traveler, get some rest. You have another journey ahead of you.
Thank you, Batar, even though that was genuinely terrifying. But I guess the Almas... Oh. See, I don't like that I can't see it anymore, actually. Where did everybody go? Okay. Yeah, that's not creepy. I suppose that it's protecting the tomb, right? That would be the most logical thing. I mean, it might have a point. Maybe I'm not meant to find this tomb, as I mentioned earlier. Well, I guess it is too late for me. Oh well. The next morning, I gathered Josephine, and we headed north for the valley that Batar had mentioned. We soon left the lake, and then continued through these grassy valleys for the rest of the day. And after finding a new river the next morning, we followed it north. Until I spotted yet another point of interest. Ah, this is the valley. Okay. Alright, let's read up on it. Stardew Valley. This large valley sits in the northwest of the Hovsgol province, hosting around 300 lakes. Within this valley, you can find the nomadic reindeer herding people, the Satan. Alright, those are the people that we're meant to find. And as Batar said, they are tucked away in the north of the valley. So that's where we're heading tomorrow. Are you excited? Yes. As we headed into the valley, I decided that it was time to do a little bit more base work. So I set up my yurt. Alright, so here's the deal. If I don't make this personalized enough, then I'm just going to give myself like a really bad score for base review. So I have to make this like properly different. So, with that being said, I am going to make the world's first double-decker yurt. Yes, it has never been done before. Double-decker yurt. This is the kind of exclusive content that you get on this channel. Double-decker yurts. I chopped lots of wood, and then started on the second floor that evening. The next morning, I got to work on properly building the floor out. I then chopped some more wood, and made this ladder. Only that's when I realized that this red garland was obstructing the central view, so I decided to move it along the edges of the yurt walls instead. On day 63, I made a few more yurt improvements, mostly by extending this second floor, before then making whatever other improvements I could. And by nightfall, I was pretty happy with what I had done. Early the next morning, Josephine and I set off for the northern end of this valley, where Batar said the nomadic group resides. Only this travel was made difficult by the sheer number of waterways and lakes ahead of us. So, after spotting this bear, I opened up the guidebook and remembered that this valley is home to around 300 lakes in total. Yeah, that definitely made this annoying to travel across. But by that evening, I could at least see the far end of the valley. By the next morning, we were gliding along a large lake, deep within the valley. I knew I had to be nearing this group, and sure enough, as I rode through the cold taiga environment later that day, I saw a camp. Oh, what's this? This has to be it. Oh, that's a wolf, that's a wolf. Alright, it's gone. Okay. Watch out for wolves, Josephine. But, this is definitely the camp. Oh, it's so lively. Hello, everyone. Yeah? Okay, who can I speak with? Can I speak to you? Can you translate my thing? Oh, yeah, I'm not sure what that says, but I have a letter that I need, translated. An English traveler, all the way out here. Well, the Duka language is sadly dying out, but there is one here who can speak it. Find her outside the far Ort. Ort, okay, that's a new one. Alright. I soon found the person that he was referring to. I overheard your conversation. I would be happy to translate your letter. But first, can you do a chore for me? Sure, yeah. Cool, okay. There are these mushrooms that I love, but I am too tired to climb and get them. Could you get me some? Sure, where are they? On the... behind me. They glow at night. Alright, time to get Google Translate out. Google Translate. This is not the first time I've had to use this in these videos. Alright. Why is it on Spanish? Mongolian to English. Okay, let's see what it says. Top of the mountain. Alright, on the top of the mountain behind me. Alright, perfect. With that, I attached Josephine to a post right as a storm began. And then I set off into the icy wilderness of northern Mongolia. As I made my way through the cold forest, I equipped my shield, as I spotted all sorts of wildlife around me. Then, as I climbed into the northern mountains, I was reunited with an old friend. Oh my gosh. I'm gonna have some choice words for this powdered snow. Only that's when this wolverine began to chase me. Oh, yep, that's a wolverine. Oh, that thing is fast. I forgot how fast they were. Oh no, the powdered snow is gonna mess me up. The powdered snow is gonna mess me up. Suddenly, I did fall into powdered snow, so I had to act quickly. I dug myself down into the ground and blocked it off. Yeah, I just slept here for the night. After carefully resurfacing the next morning, I continued up the mountain. Alright, back to my quest. Mushrooms that glow in the dark. I don't know if you should be eating those. I mean, I'm gonna be fully real with you. If your mushrooms glow in the dark, you maybe shouldn't be eating them. Finally, as I summited this snowy peak, I found the mushroom. I decided to use my shears to collect it, before then making my way back down to the camp. Oh, okay. Here's the translated letter. It did not take long to get there. I suggest you follow the river south of here to Hovsgol Lake, then head southeast, but please follow the marked path on the ice. That's probably a good idea, yeah, good call. Okay, what does the letter say? Head to Avaraga. The final piece lies there at the bottom of a lake. Forgive me for my treason. Yeah, because I guess he would be, the general would be committing treason. Oh well. Thank you for your help. I now headed back to Josephine, guiding her south to this river. Now let's have a quick word on the elusive Satan people of northern Mongolia, as they live in one of the country's least accessible locations, herding reindeer across frozen rivers and cold marshy environments, just as their ancestors have done for centuries. Their own identity is linked with the very reindeer that they herd, and the last remaining 40 or so families travel across the edge of Mongolia, keeping this ancient tradition alive. Josephine and I were now following a mountainous river path that should lead us to a frozen lake that we need to cross. Sure enough, by that very evening, I saw a huge blue expanse ahead of me, and I soon found out just what it was. This is Lake Hovsgol, Mongolia's most impressive source of fresh water. This lake is often considered to be the sister of Russia's massive Lake Baikal, as they're connected by rivers and streams. But Hovsgol is famous for its incredible winter views, as once the water freezes over, this lake hosts these blue icy patterns that scatter across its frozen surface, inviting visitors from around the world to see this spectacle. Although they will have to brave the freezing temperatures, as up here, it can drop down to negative 60 degrees Fahrenheit, or around negative 50 degrees Celsius. Regardless, this scenic lake is a great reason to visit Mongolia's northern province, and maybe you can catch a ride on a reindeer with the Satan people while you're at it. Josephine and I now began to carefully make our way across this frozen lake, following the lines that the translator had mentioned. Alright, let's stay close to the line. Keep going. Looks like we're almost halfway there. Only that's when something very unexpected happened.
It's a shame that I have to do this, but I really didn't think you'd be able to find that nomadic group. Well, either way, it's a win-win for me.
Oh?
Because you're going to hand me the translation, or I'll shatter this ice.
What? What are you on about, dude?
Come on now, quickly. We don't have all day.
Alright, fine. Take it.
You seem confused. So let me clear this up. I will be the one to discover Genghis Khan's tomb. I mean, just think of how much money I'll be able to sell everything inside for.
That's crazy.
Oh, that's right. I'll be stripping it down and demolishing it. And unfortunately, there's nothing you'll be able to do.
That's crazy.
Oh, and as for the Gobi bear, well, let's just say that I may be a paleontologist, but I'm not a naturalist. And you have no idea how much some people will pay for a rug made out of the rarest bear in the world.
There's no way.
Such a shame as well.
Dude.
Since you led me right to it.
There is no way.
Farewell, Smitty. And just know that this is entirely personal.
That's... just off he goes. Alright. Okay, we cannot allow this to happen, Josephine. We cannot allow this to happen. Who knew it? A twist villain. Who knew it? Josephine, did you see that coming? That's crazy. Suddenly, the ice beneath us began to crack. So Josephine and I rode as fast as we could, barely outrunning the shattering ice beneath us. I didn't even have time to think about what had just happened with Connor, but I did come to one conclusion. We have to get to Avaraga before he does. Alright, we have to actually hurry. This got serious real fast. With that, I knew that I was now racing Connor to Avaraga. The two of us continued in the direction of the final clue for the entirety of the next day. This was it, the final piece of the hunt, and I was not about to let Connor get to it first. After all, by now we had braved the cold Potanin Glacier of the far west, before then heading through the dry Gobi to reach Hovsgol, where I met this trader that I was now racing. Regardless, we then made our way through Dalanzadgad and up through Karakorum, before taking a long trip to Darhad Valley. Now we just had to reach the Avaraga camp, which is a good ways away. But after this entire journey, I was not giving up now. I found a new river to follow on day 70, so we headed southeast along it. But by noon the next day, I found myself riding through a forest with Josephine. And that's when I spotted something unexpected. What's this doing all the way out here? This just feels like an odd place for one of these. Plus, I am in a hurry, but... alright. Oh, okay. Interesting. Alright, the Orhan volcano. This extinct volcano last erupted around 25,000 years ago. It now sits as a silent shell of an ancient beast, with a crater rim that is fully intact. We climbed up into the volcano, and then we made our way across the crater within. Tonight, I decided to craft a campfire and cook my venison, as I still need to prepare for the journey ahead. Alright. This is my last peaceful night in Mongolia before... well, before who knows what happens. As the sun rose on day 72, my race to Avaraga continued. Today, as I rode, I mapped it on Google Earth from the Orhan volcano just to get a general sense of direction. Yeah, I bet Connor doesn't have Google Earth on his side. Anyways, it really was just directly southeast from here, but still quite far away. Regardless, the next day, we made our way through a large grassy mountainous area. Little did I know, I was actually nearing the capital of Mongolia, Ulaanbaatar. And this grassy stretch that I was riding through is actually one of Mongolia's most famous nature reserves, Terelch National Park. This park is just northeast of the capital, making it a popular scenic destination for tourists. Its dramatic landscapes and abundance of wildlife complement the huge granite rocks that you can find here. The most famous of which is in the shape of a turtle. I mean, that is pretty spot on. That is absolutely a turtle. Anyways, as Josephine and I cross this vast stretch of the country over the next many days, let me rate the difficulty of Mongolia. See, Mongolia is unique because I've never had such difficulty with temperature variations within a single video. One minute I had hypothermia, the next I was overheating. Oh, and I was also severely dehydrated for a large portion of the Gobi Desert. But at the end of the day, the mythical creatures and wildlife didn't give me too much trouble. It really was just the harsh nature of this isolated countryside that tested my survival. So with that in mind, I give Mongolia a very respectable 8 out of 10 in terms of difficulty. On the evening of day 84, the two of us arrived at a lake, and this lake had a point of interest. Avaraga. After Genghis Khan captured this land, Avaraga became the first nomadic capital of the Mongol Empire. It is also near the area where Genghis Khan's family lived. So clearly, this is a very important place to him, which would make sense as to why the final sort of clue is here. What is that? Now, oh yeah, I gave my other paper away. But the translated letter did say that the last clue is at the bottom of a lake. However, there are 2 lakes here. And then there's this. So let's look at this first. That looks really pretty with the mountains behind it. That's really cool. I headed out into the closest lake, before diving to the very bottom. Soon enough, I found a trapdoor. Alright, this is absolutely it right here. Come on, come on. Alright, the final piece of the puzzle. Oh. That's, We can't have that. I don't know how to not have that, but that's... Okay, alright, I genuinely don't know what to do about that. Oh... What are you doing here, Mr. Almas? This time he's not looking at me. Okay, wait. I have a theory. Can I get near him? I'm not gonna get any closer than this. Okay. So Batar said that he was protecting something, right? Clearly he's protecting the tomb. I'm gonna turn this way just so I have my eyes on him. Anyways, clearly he's protecting the tomb, right? So he would therefore want to protect the tomb from Connor. So in that case, because this is the one time that he's not looking at me, is he looking in the direction of either the tomb or where Connor went? Before I committed to this lead, I wanted to search for any other clues in the area. I even dove to the bottom of the other lake nearby. But yeah, no luck. So the next morning, we headed in the direction that the Almas was facing. This same evening, we began to make our way into a forested mountainous area. Before continuing further into the mountain pass the next day. However, on the evening of day 88, I saw this park sign, and was soon introduced to the holy mountain ahead of us. This is where our journey ends, the final wonder of this episode. The legendary Orhan Khaldun Mountain. This mountain is considered to be sacred, as it's the rumored birthplace of Genghis Khan, and today it is thought to be the most likely location of his burial. This is one of the 4 mountains that he declared as sacred during his lifetime, uniting the Mongol people at the time with their shamanic roots. The mountain worship tradition eventually declined, as Buddhism grew here within the late 15th century, just like we saw with the ruins of Karakorum. However, in recent years, there has been a resurgence of mountain worship, with Orhan Khaldun being protected due to its cultural heritage. But beyond that, over 800 burial sites have been found here, and hopefully, we're not too late to find one more. As we rushed along the river, I spotted something red nearby. This is his old camp. I remember this tent. Okay, so that means that the professor is nearby. I now began to search for the professor, starting in the stormy forest ahead of me. Soon enough, I managed to spot the Gobi bear. I knew that I had to free this guy immediately. Let's get you out of here.
According to this final piece of the puzzle,
There he is.
the tomb should be right around here. What? No! Not the bear! No! This was your doing! No matter, I can take care of this bear myself.
Uh-huh.
What is that? What even on earth is that?
Yes!
This isn't the last you've seen of me, Smitty.
Get him, Almas! Get him! There he goes. Alright. Oh, that does actually hurt. Okay. You are now free, Mr. Bear. You are now free. Don't attack me, please. I'm nice. I am nice. Yeah, you know, I hope that isn't the last I see of him, because, I want some better revenge. Almas is gonna do what Almas is gonna do, but I want some personal revenge, because he's right. This is personal. This is very personal. With Connor taken care of, I still had one more thing to do. Of course, that does beg the question, did he actually find it? I don't want the Almas to come back and attack me. Oh, what is actually down there? There's something. I see lots of gold. Okay. There's water and lights and stuff. Huh. Soon enough, I made up my mind. On the quiet morning of day 90, I crafted myself a shovel and began to fill the dig site back in. This process took a few days, but it was definitely worth it. Alright, I think I did a pretty good job. And you can't really tell that I used any of the other landscape for the terraforming, so no one is gonna know. Okay, that should work. With the tomb now covered, I headed back to Josephine, and we set off to find a spot to finish the yurt at. It was now time for me to finish my base before base review on day 99. So I built up my yurt and got to work. I made a few small improvements today before realizing something. We only unlocked 9 of the 10 points of interest. I don't know, maybe there's one more out there that you all have to go and find if you download the map. Hint hint, I'm alluding to something. Also, remember that there are 10 plushies hidden throughout the map. Anyways, let me finish with my trinkets. Won't need this anymore. That's cute. Before the end of the day, I added this sign to the front. The next day, I mostly gathered wood and used it to work exclusively on the kitchen. Then, on day 97, I worked on the upstairs canopy. I had no idea what to turn this into, so I made it look fun and festive, even though it served no purpose. Anyways, I added a few more small improvements, and by the next day, I was basically done. So I just rode around the area with Josephine all day. Which means that it's time for base review. I woke up on day 99 and took one full look around my base before coming up with a verdict. Let's start with the design. Honestly, this base is pretty cozy. I like the interior a lot. And the second floor, although it serves no purpose, does make the first floor have a more comfy vibe to it. The decorations all work here really well. And overall, I kinda love it. But that does bring me to the only other criteria that I can think of. Originality. Yeah, how much of this base did I actually change? Well, I do get points for the kitchen and the second floor, but otherwise, I didn't really change it as much as I wanted to. So, with that in mind, I give this base a pretty good 7.5 out of 10. But with that being said, there is still one more day. On day 100, I tried to get Josephine into the yurt, but she did not want to go into the yurt. So we rode along the river again. As I did, I thought about the last 100 days and just what kind of a journey Mongolia has given me. Mongolia is a country of extremes. Extremely cold mountaintops, juxtaposed with the extremely hot deserts. Impressive towering structures from the last century, and many from centuries prior. And of course, we can't forget the extreme vastness of this untouched land. That is what makes Mongolia unlike any other place. Because, in Genghis Khan's conquest, to unify this land and beyond, he ended up establishing a generational refuge. A refuge for critically endangered wildlife. And a refuge for the many nomadic groups that live here. But beyond that, over 3.5 million people call this place home. A place with a history that you can't find anywhere else. And a future that's dawning sooner than you think. Because, among the pastures in the mountains, the desert dunes and the bustling cities, there is nowhere else on Earth quite like Mongolia. Alright, Josephine. You have been the best horse that I could have asked for. Thank you for your service. Here, I'll take your saddle off. Alright, be free. Alright. With all of that being said, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next episode.